Hello, everyone. So I'm Igor Saldanha. I'm an MBA student of the class of 2018. Welcome to MSc. I'm very proud of being part of this Manchester Matters. It's the second edition, and I hope we have a lot more in this school. I'm talking about shared leadership. But first, I'm presenting the traditional concept of leadership. Okay, we had so many interesting topics here. Let's have a PMO class right now. Another one. So, traditional leadership concept from the dictionary here. As you can see, it's the position or function of a leader, a person who guides a group, right? So even the traditional concept, it says it attributes all the leadership to one person. So what I'm talking about now, what I want to challenge about is the shared leadership, which is something that I implemented in my previous experience as a consultant. We had this, the same responsibility within a team. Everyone had to participate and had to make the decisions together. So what I'm talking about is this definition. Forget about the definition as that leadership should be associated with one leader. Think of leadership as a process, a dynamic process of influence, in which people influence each other. So in a team, everyone has the responsibility of taking some leadership, of having a leadership position, even if they want or not. The difference is how hidden is this distributed leadership. I'll talk more about that. So this influence process is what I'm talking here, is what I'm saying is the shared leadership. So it often is peer influence, or even you can influence your boss or whoever. And what I'm saying is leadership is a distributed process, and it's distributed throughout the whole hierarchy of an organization, and not an act of one person. We shouldn't rely on only one hero that should save all the company or all the team, right? So the question here is not whether we should or not the leadership be distributed, because it already is, somehow, even if it's official or not, if it's informal or not. So the question should be, how is the leadership distributed? How are people aware of their part, of the part of leadership that they should take on? So there are some basic conditions that should be followed to implement a well-structured shared leadership. So the first condition is a shared purpose. So the team or the organization should have a common target. So everyone should look in the same direction. We have here, during the MBA, some consulting projects, and during these consulting projects, we have to have the same targets. And we have to agree from the very beginning what are our expectations of the team individuals. So another thing is the social support. People should be willing to help each other. And it's all for one and one for all. And another thing is share the voice. So it's very important for the leaders, and when I say the leaders, it's everyone, not just one person, to promote the intensive participation of all. So in our teams, we should develop this participation, and even if it's in one way or another. Of course, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be authority. I'm not suggesting here an anarchy. I'm just saying it's not necessary to elect formally one leader for the team. What you can have is a manager or coordinator, but that doesn't take the leadership of all. Okay? It's a responsibility of everybody. And of course, to implement this structured shared leadership, there are some conditions, some prerequisites. One thing is trust. So you should trust each other, the tasks. You should trust your friend, your colleague, that they would implement the task. I know it's hard sometimes, but anyway. So easier saying than doing, right? But anyway. Another thing is flexibility. So understanding how people work. So of course it takes a little bit of time when you don't know people, right? Another thing is engagement. This is crucial. So people must want to do that. So of course, developing this in the work not always would happen because we know that people are not always motivated. And this is a crucial element to implement shared leadership. If the person doesn't really want to do that, there's no way to implement it. And another thing is a commitment to change from the traditional way to this new style of leadership, the shared leadership. Another key factors is preferably a small team. So, like for example, during the MBA or even the MSc, we have a lot of group work, and we're in small teams. The smaller, the easier to implement this shared leadership. Another thing is egalitarian cultures. They tend to accept more easily the sharing leadership. Once I heard, I often hear it, by the way. So in your team, who is the leader? Because there must be a leader. And I don't agree with that. And that must have something to do with my previous experiences in which we didn't assign necessarily a leader because the whole team decided together. So I think it's possible to do this, and this is what I'm proposing. But for that to work, there should be some shared values as well. So the team would understand what's a priority for the team, not only for the individuals. There are some advantages and disadvantages in implementing this for real. About the advantages, let me say, people are more motivated and enthusiastic when they are part of the decision making, when they believe in what they're doing and they are involved. Another advantage is that this team or the organization itself would be more responsive to new challenges because it's easier to adapt it. And of course, it wouldn't rely on just one person to decide, to guide this organization. And another thing is people would be willing to take more ownership. And that's what, like in my previous experience, that was part of the culture of the company. So we were always developing new leaders, and people, everyone in the team, were willing to take more responsibility, more ownership. And this is another advantage, empowerment. We had this empowerment. So we were looking forward to be the new leaders. Here in the MBA, everyone should have these attributes and looking forward to it. Another thing is it promotes the innovation. So you're always thinking, what could I do better? What could I do more to help the team achieve the targets? And one last thing is the shared knowledge. For the shared leadership to happen, people would share all they have learned, so they wouldn't rely on just one person. If we have an expert, okay, that's common. But even the expert, if he's a real leader, he would like to share the knowledge with the others so the team would achieve better results and not rely on just him. And some disadvantages as well regarding the shared leadership. One thing is it's kind of complex to implement. Of course, it's easier for one person to make all the decisions, but how reliable is that, right? And sustainable as well. It takes time to implement because in the beginning you don't know people well, so you have to build the trust, you have to learn how they work, and it's not always applicable really because sometimes if the team does not have this bond and does not create this bond, it might not work. But in my experience, it's worth trying, especially if the environment is so friendly like we have here in the MBA, for example. There's a little bit of risk of it's difficult to standardize, it might spread the work all around, and sometimes it gets fragmented, people don't work in the same way. And there might be some lack of clarity of the roles of the people in the team. But my conclusion is, it's worth. I've implemented it many times. I've seen it working, and a takeaway that I wanted you to get here is, don't be just a team leader, build a leading team instead. So here is an example of a shepherd with a herd of sheep. Don't be just this shepherd. Don't put all that weight on your shoulders. Be one of the good Manchester bears.